This is James with WSTrades.com. Want to provide an update here on ticker OTLK or Outlook Therapeutics. So I've got the daily time frame pulled up here, and you can see this massive gap down and this massive dump here. So they did get rejected by the FDA, and that's exactly what happened here a few weeks ago. So that explains the move from above $1 down to where they're at right now. So this took them down to around 27 cents, and then they have just continued to move lower. So they lost 5.41% on Friday. So if we go into the 15-minute time frame here, you can kind of see they have bounced a little bit here, trying to make a run up and trying to recover. But overall, from the daily time frame here, massive move down, and they have not been able to recover yet. So let's kind of take a look through some of their finances and see what's going on with them. So if we look at return on assets the last 12 months, it's negative 82%. Return on equity is pretty brutal, negative 827%. Gross profit, negative 42 million. EBITDA, negative 54 million. Diluted EPS, we've seen worse, but they have been bleeding money on earnings. So the last 12 months for diluted EPS, they lost 24 cents a share. It says based on the most recent quarter, they've got 33.71 million in cash, and you can see their current ratio is below 1. So if I'm buying shares of a company, I'd like to see this at least at 1, if not higher. So that current ratio is kind of sketchy. And then the book value is negative, so they actually have negative common stock equity based on the most recent quarter. So that book value per share is 2 cents in the negative. Operating cash flow the last 12 months is showing negative 40 million, and then levered free cash flow the last 12 months is showing negative 20 million. Let's take a look here at some of the financial statements to look a little deeper. If we come into the income statement here, and if we look at the earnings or the net income common stockholders, you can see that is growing year over year. It's going in the wrong direction. So that negative number is growing. 2019, their earnings were negative 36 million. In the last 12 months, the earnings have been negative 60 million. So yeah, they're just losing more and more each year that they're in business. If we look at the cash flow here on the annual, kind of similar story here, similar to the earnings from operations. In 2019, they lost 32 million. The last 12 months, they lost 40 million. So that number is kind of growing. Now, I will say versus the year ending September 30th, 2022, they lost 56 million. So that number has come down a little bit, but if we look back to 2019, it's still a bigger number the last 12 months for operating cash flow. Then if we look at free cash flow, it's a very similar story. In 2019, they had free cash flow of negative 32 million. And then at the end of 2022, they had free cash flow of negative 56 million. This number here pretty much matches the operating cash flow. If you look at these two lines right here, these numbers match up. Operating cash flow and free cash flow, those numbers are exact. So let's take a look here at the balance sheet. We did talk about negative common stock equity, right? So on the annual, you can actually see that they have positive common stock equity most years except for 2019. You can see they had negative 16.1 million in common stock equity, but then they actually swung into the positive here. So positive, positive, positive. But if we look at the quarterly here, and we look at common stock equity, that's where that most recent quarter number is coming from. So you can kind of see that their common stock equity just kind of dwindled into the negative. So it was at 20 million the quarter ending June 30th of last year. It dropped to 8, back up to 15, down to 10, and then this last quarter dipped into the negative. So the common stock equity has went from this big positive number of 20 million now to in the negative of 5.5 million. Let's take a look here back at the cash flow statement, because we do see that positive common stock equity, but where is it coming from? And you can see this financing cash flow line. They've got big numbers every year, so of course they're not making any money from operations or investing, really. You can see these numbers are negative as well. So that's just all financing. They might be issuing stock or taking out loans or things of that nature. Yeah, you can see net common stock issuance. Looks like that's where they're getting most of their financing money from. So that's where that common stock equity in the positive is coming from, because they're doing financing every single year. Let's look at the quarterly here. Actually, they've got a few quarters where they do not have any positive from issuing stock, but every other quarter here you can see in the last 12 months, they've got 35.6 million from issuing stock. So yeah, just kind of looking through the financial statements here and some of these statistics around the stock and the company. This is not something that I'm going to be buying. When I see these types of numbers for free cash flow, operating cash flow, earnings, these types of numbers on the balance sheet, that's not my type of investment. I would consider this a high risk, high reward kind of investment. And if you see this massive gap down here on the daily time frame, this is why this is high risk, high reward. This thing is cooking along above $1, and then bam, the rejection comes out, and before you know it, your shares are worth $1.40. Looks like right before they got this rejection by the FDA, they closed at 140, and then bam, you wake up the next morning, you look at your share price, and it's 26 cents a share. So yeah, not my type of investment, but to those out there that are willing to take the risk, good luck to you. If you think they're going to get some FDA approval down the road, on some new drug or some new thing. But for me, I'm not going to be buying it. I'll continue to keep you updated here on ticker OTLK or Outlook Therapeutics. Please like this video. Please also subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Hit that notification bell. Appreciate you for taking the time to watch this. Talk to you soon.